But again, related to the news that I just shared, of course, about my company, joining us to talk about this achievement, if you will, and the importance of giving access to Silicon Valley deals to everyday investors is a friend of mine, a friend of ours, and the director of partnerships at Wefunder, which is the largest platform for what's called equity crowdfunding. Justin Renfro. Justin, how you doing?
What's up, man? How you living?
I'm doing pretty good. As you can see, we're in a good mood here up in New York and enjoying ourselves. Even better now when you're here. Now, let's talk about this. Obviously, we teamed up last year and we set a few records. But in terms of your overall mission, you guys have the largest market share of equity crowdfunding. Break down what that is.
Yeah, so we started in 2012, 5 years before the regulations went into effect for regulation crowdfunding. So we've been at this for a long minute. And the mission was pretty consistent. The message has been pretty consistent from the start, which is democratizing access to capital. And that applies to both ends of our marketplace. So we have founders that need to raise capital, and we want to create a more equitable landscape for founders to be able to raise capital. And it also applies on the investor side, the other end of our marketplace, where we want to give access to private deals, whether Silicon Valley or anywhere in the US.
Right.
We want to be able to enable people to invest in private companies. A lot of parallels with the trends that you're seeing with Robinhood. Mm-hmm. Our industry is growing very, very fast. And it's all about access to opportunity on both ends of the marketplace for investors as well as for founders.
So we see a lot of money just like sloshing through the system right now. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, but it tends to go to the same people. It tends to all go to San Francisco and New York. It tends to go to white males of a particular kind who live in a particular place, who are of a particular politics, who are in particular industries. Why is that destructive, and why does that create an opportunity for you?
Excellent question.
Well, it's extremely destructive because there's amazing entrepreneurship is a beautiful thing. I've been helping founders, working at organizations, kind of helping entrepreneurs raise capital my entire career. And entrepreneurship is far more diverse and far more vibrant than what's just happening with these rich, Sandhill
Sure.
kind of, angel investment groups that are just funneled into, one of two locations. We really aspire to, look at entrepreneurship through a much broader lens. And that's through color, that's through race, that's through gender, that's through location. We want to be an equitable platform, and that's why I love working at Wefunder.
You actually touched on something that brings me to the next point. There's the designation of non-accredited investor and accredited investor. Can you break down why that matters and what you guys have done to actually bring this to the masses? Because what is the situation with an accredited investor, and what's the difference between the two and non-accredited?
So an accredited investor, it's a complex algorithm, but let's just say it's a rich person worth more than $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
If you're worth more than $1 million, you're an accredited investor. Yeah, prior to 2017, you could not make an investment in a private company unless you were an accredited investor. So rich people were the only kind of group in our country that could invest in private companies. And there's a lot of literature where it's like, hey, the upside of investing in private companies is very, very high. Angel investing is how people, it's like how does wealth compound?
Right. Isn't that how Lance Armstrong got into Uber and forgot about it? And next thing you know, he has this massive check. Did you hear about this, Dave?
Yeah, but Justin's absolutely right. We create these systems which lock out the vast majority of people from these amazing wealth creation opportunities. And then we wonder why there's such a large wealth gap in this country. Before, just a few years ago, like Justin said, in 2017, you had to have $1 million to even play this game.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So who has $1 million? Not a lot of people.
A lot of people.
A very small percentage of the population.
Right.
So of course we're going to have crazy wealth gaps. Of course venture capital and investment is going to be concentrated with certain populations and certain geographies, with certain people, with people who think a certain way, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera.
And you haven't, not trying to blow your spot here, but where you went to school, you probably know a lot of the.
Of course.
Yes.
But even them, you'd be surprised. There's not a lot of them. And the two that I know that got that money fit that. Yeah.
Really?
They were in New York at a particular time of a certain demographic who think a certain way, who look a certain way. And they both have amazing, successful companies that you would recognize.
Wow, that's so
That's
interesting.
2 out of 212 people in my class.
Again, it's all about the nuance. Now, Justin, I know you guys also went offered shares to the crowd, if you will, through your own platform, thus again proving the concept. What's next for you guys? Do you want to take over a larger share of the market, more money coming in? Break that down for us. What's the next for you guys?
Yeah, so from the start, we've always aspired to be an open. So there's always kind of two considerations when we talk about vision and mission and kind of where we're going. You have founders on one end and you have investors on the other end. Our desire and our strategy as a company is to be an open platform for any startup of any stage to be able to utilize the crowd and help them fundraise and raise capital faster and easier. So I think that the strategy that we have to be a platform for entrepreneurs of all different cuts creates more accessibility and more attractive options for investors, where it's like, hey, if you have 1,000 deals that you can pick from, you can be really specific as to what you want to put money behind. And it's not just tech startups in San Francisco. Hey, it's awesome that tech startups in San Francisco now have this the investors have access to these tech companies in San Francisco,
Right.
But it's also like, hey, there's a lot of different.
There's a lot to pick from. There's a lot to choose from. And I feel as though the next step in this whole relatively nascent trend is to show some solid returns to those micro investors. And again, that's what we worked on together. And hopefully we can do that in what we call the first significant Reg CF exits. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Justin.
Thank you,
Thank
Justin.
you for having me. Appreciate it.